You are a writer and a poet, and for all my viewers here, she is most known for her spoken word poetry online that often raise several important questions about identity and work towards building compassion and tolerance. Her goal has always been to write honestly, prolifically, and she hopes to conquer the literary world soon. So, Rabia, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. How are you?
I'm good, I'm good. So, how excited are you for our collective action panel?
I'm very excited. I know all of the people on the panel in terms of like their work and what they do, and they're all very intimidating and inspiring in their own right. And I'm very excited to see what they have to say and how they put it across because they're all extremely eloquent and intelligent, and I'm very excited.
We are also really excited because everything you just said is what we feel towards you and everybody else on the panel as well. So, just to jump right in, how would you like to describe your poetry? Describe your poetry in 3 words?
In 3 words,
In 3 words.
um, I think, well, at least I try to be honest, conversational, and simple. I think are the three main things that
So,
I try for.
so when did you start writing poetry, and were these three factors always a part of your writing, or did they develop as you went along?
Spoken word or just generally?
Generally.
Because spoken word is something I started when I was about 18, I think, and I was sort of pushed into it. And then I ended up just enjoying it immensely. But I think I started writing when I was about 9 years old or something like that. And I went to Prithvi Theatre in Bombay, does these summer workshops for children. And they did this poetry workshop with this amazing poet whose name I've forgotten. And so I remember she made us come out of those sessions and, write little things. And, I discovered the Jabberwocky by Lewis Carroll over there. And it was just amazing that, you could do these things with words. And I didn't stop. And I don't think the 3 words that I just said were always um, rules that I stood by because I got very flowery in the middle, and I liked the way that words sound, and I experimented a lot with how different words sound with each other, and that was what it was for me. When it came to spoken word, I treat spoken word very differently from written anything, um, because I think the whole point of spoken word, it is a conversation, and you can't write that the same way that you would write for the page because you're communicating with a very different audience and you're communicating very different stories. So I think it was then, like at the age of 18, that I really started experimenting more with a conversational tone and, trying to put across some things that were difficult for me to talk about, but trying to put it across as simply as I could. Yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah.
It does, it definitely does. So, your father, Rajat Kapoor, is very well known in Bollywood and in the commercial industry. So, did he influence your art in any way?
Um, I find this question because it's come up a few times, and I never really know how to answer it, or whether I because I don't know, because yeah, obviously my dad had influence because he's my dad, but so did my mom. You know, as a reader, as a voracious reader, and as someone who speaks a certain way and looks at the world a certain way. So a lot of times people ask me about my dad because he's in the industry, but what I do and what I hope to do doesn't necessarily have that much to do with the industry. So yeah, they have had influence on me in terms of both being artists and both being my parents, but uh, not because he's in the industry or because of anything like that. Yeah.
So, tell us about your mother. What influence did she have on your writing?
Uh, that's a good question. I think she'd be happy about that. Well, so growing up, my mom was very present in my life. Like she's the one person I spoke to the most. So a lot of ideas that I've had, a lot of the way I think is because of her. That was a badly framed sentence. But like I remember when I was a kid, I read a lot of obviously white, often British writers like Enid Blyton and Roald Dahl, etc. And so when I started writing a lot of my stories, Adichie talks about this as well. A lot of your stories end up being those characters that you're reading about because you think that those are the only characters that would be interesting or worth writing about, these white characters, in white places and all that. And I remember showing my mom one of my stories and she was just like, why are they all called Adam and Sophie? Like you don't know anyone with those names. And for me, that was a really small thing but extremely formative. I realized that, I wanted to write about people like me, who talk like me, who look like me. And I think that has been one of the biggest, most important lessons that I've learned in writing. Because even now, it's only this year that I've realized that I don't want to italicize Hindi words in English written stories because that implies that they're foreign and they're not foreign to me, right? So it's simple things like that, and it is very much because of what she said, all those years ago. Yeah,
Even
things like
I
that.
remember my first stories just having all these British sounding names because I read a lot of Enid Blyton. So
Yeah,
somebody told me that. But
yeah, that's the thing.
so you call yourself an introvert, but when you come on stage, you express yourself so beautifully. I mean, is there a change which goes on, or how does that pan out?
So the introvert poem that I wrote that went a little viral was when I was 18. So I'm 23 now. So I was a very different person then also. I am still introverted, but I understand introversion very differently. I think that poem was more about just being shy and a bit socially um, silly. But Yeah, I think with spoken word, because my dad also does a lot of theater, and I'd always loved the idea of people being on a stage and performing, and so that was exciting but very intimidating to me. What I did do with a lot of my pieces is I just spent a lot of time memorizing them, so that even if I get lost, the words will still be there, it'll still come out. But then what happens when I go on stage, I realize is that I sort of make eye contact with someone and I sort of root myself with them. Yeah, so it's just about making eye contact and then you just sort of go into that headspace and then the adrenaline, which is your fight or flight instinct, just sort of kicks in and gets you through it. So I do usually come off shaking a little bit off the stage, but I think you just go into a completely different headspace. I don't really know how to explain it. Yeah, it's thrilling, so you keep coming back to it. It's like jumping off a cliff a little bit. As a shy person, uh, yeah, it's nice to not be interrupted. I think maybe that's what it is.
So we have someone in the comments saying that they are an introvert and they aren't very sure if they'll be able to express themselves better. So what convinced you to take that leap of faith? What put you up on stage for the first time?
Someone pressured me into it at an event. Yeah, it was a little bit of pressure. I don't think I would have done it otherwise. The thing is, though, a lot of the times, you see these people up on stage or wherever, you see people talking, and you always think, okay, I'm gonna do it. I want to do it. I'm gonna do it. But it takes you so long to sort of pump yourself up and get there that by the time you're ready, um, they've moved on. The next person or the lift, the whatever things have shut and all of that. So I think what it is about just taking that leap before um, you start arguing with yourself, before the debate even begins. Just sign up for it, because once you signed up, you can't really back out, and then you have to do it. And maybe you'll bomb, but it's fine. Everyone bombs. Like amazing actors that I've seen on stage have bombed once in a while. And you'll come back. If it's for you, you'll come back. And it's worth taking that risk, because I hate that debate. I hate that internal debate of I'm gonna do it. I want to, and then just not doing it. It gets so repetitive. So you might as well just do it. If you don't like it, then you won't have that debate again. And if you do, then you'll keep going back.
I think that answers their question very well, and I hope that inspires them to express themselves better. So, talking about your poetry further, what inspires you to write? Is it based on fiction? Is it based on experiences? Is it based on yourself in general?
Yeah, it is based on myself, and I think that's because um, I I have always, I think, that way played it a little safe. I know myself, so I write about myself. But at the same time, I guess I don't know myself, which is why I write about myself. I try to talk through things that I know about myself to understand aspects that I don't. Um, I think because like at this age, in my circles, in my class, in my very small, tight social bubble, um, I never felt like I knew enough to talk about the rest of the world. Because first of all, who am I? Like, you have to stay in your rock art also at some point, like you can't just start. So it is that. But then what I realized with spoken word, because spoken word gave me a decent platform, was that talking about myself and things that you think that are extremely personal or specific to you end up resonating with a lot more people. And it gives something you say can give someone else the vocabulary to understand something about themselves, something that they've always felt, but have never quite understood or known how to express. So that's kind of what keeps me going in terms of spoken word. I think after the introvert piece blew up the way it did, which I absolutely did not expect. This is the first time I'd ever done anything like that. I started, I think, trying to tune in more to specific questions or specific feelings that I have that maybe otherwise I would have just carried and never really thought to focus on. Um, I have all my life, and I'm trying to attempt and delve more into fiction now, but everything still comes from very real places. And it is very much me. I don't think I'm very good at writing other people yet. Hopefully I'll get that.
So, do you want to get there? I mean, you're doing quite well with writing about yourself, and you talk about feminism, you talk about mental health, and all of that is very real as well. So, why do you want to write about other people?
I want to, the world is a lot bigger than me,
Hmm.
I think. And I want to know that world. I think for me, everyone finds a different thing through which they sort of understand the world. And for me, that has been writing. I don't know how to say that less pretentiously, but it has. And I'm understanding myself, and I will never stop, you know, understanding myself or writing about myself. But I would like to understand the world a little better as well. And I think I can only do that by writing. It's not so black and white, right? It's not so simplistic, but that is what it is. Like I have recently, over the past couple of years, really started engaging in politics and uh, socially relevant conversations, etc. And I want to write about that because that's all I can do. That's all I can contribute is to be able to write. But I still don't feel confident enough. I don't feel like I know enough to be able to do that. Which is also how I felt about writing about myself. So hopefully I will get that. But that is why I would like to write about things apart
That
from
is
myself.
it's beautiful. It's a very good answer. But like we were talking about feminism and we were talking about mental health. So where does that come from? What encouraged you to be such a huge advocate of these causes?
I'm sure my upbringing has a lot to do with that. Both my parents are uh, pretty woke in their own right, in their own problematic, uh, elderly ways. So that I think growing up in the arts, growing up in liberal atmospheres has a lot to do with that. Just sort of growing up with this school of thought that says, I mean, if I do something, why should it bother you unless I'm hurting you? If I'm not hurting you, then mind your own business. Is how I grew up. I also went to school. I was very liberal and um, honed your individuality a lot more than other schools in India do. So things like that. And I think, yeah, I think after a point you grow up and you can make a decision, right? Either I will advocate for a world that benefits me, or I will advocate for a world that benefits everyone. And as I'm getting older, I am feeling a little more and more strongly about that. And I want to do more. Uh, I've grown up loving India, obviously. And I like the city of Bombay has been my muse. Um, and it hurts me a lot to think about the fact that there are people who have lived here, whose families have lived here forever, and who have always suffered. I was talking to my boyfriend about this. I hate that India is so beautiful in so many ways, but just keeps suffering. Like it never catches a break, and it breaks my heart. Um, I think that is essentially it. I
So
don't want it
that's
to
what we're
keep
trying to
suffering.
tackle through collective action. So, talking about collective action, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm sorry.
You looked a little. Yeah, so talking about collective action, what is one cause you're most passionate about, and what is it that you're most looking forward on the 11th?
Oh, that's a really difficult question to answer. I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet. I think I feel so strongly about a lot of things, and I don't really know how to focus those feelings yet. I know that the one way that I so far have understood the way to actually make a difference is to focus everything to a specific cause, and then you can make a difference. Otherwise, you spread yourself too thin, and nothing's gonna happen. So I don't know. I think I guess as a girl growing up in India, it's very important to me that women feel safe here because they just don't. I don't. And, with my privilege and my protection, and knowing on some level that the likeliness of me being hurt over here is relatively low, no one feels safe here. Your world is so small and so restricted. And I think that's something I do feel very strongly about. And the panel on Sunday is just women, and it's all sorts of different women who've had very different life experiences. And I mean, apart from everything else, it's always nice to just talk to other women, and women of a similar age and all of that. I think that itself is a bit of a safe space. It's always just nice to have your female friends around and just have those conversations a little without feeling like you're offending anyone or yeah.
I
If
get what
that
you're
I don't
saying. Yeah,
know.
it does. It does. So, you have been in the limelight for quite a bit, and as a young female influencer, maybe you've realized the power of words and you've realized the power of creative expression. So, what do you think is most powerful? Is it actually getting on field, or is it just creative expression which is enough to bring social change?
I don't think it can be one or the other. I think you need both. Um, I think a lot of social change happens because there are people on the field, doing that work. But art makes politics accessible. Art makes movements accessible, and I think that's where the collaboration comes in between the activists and the artists. Hopefully, I know it does. Like even at the CAA protest, for example, that happened, for a few months from December onwards, there were activists, who were leading those protests, but there were also artists. It was those poems and those songs and those dances and those artworks that, sort of tied everyone and sort of, got everyone together. So I don't think it's one or the other. I don't think one can last without the other in terms of activism. Like definitely not. That's why films keep getting banned, right? Like that's why artists are constantly being harassed. It is because of that. Deepika Padukone went and stood at JNU for like an hour and has been harassed so much. And she's like, at the top.
She
So
has the privilege.
sorry?
I mean, she is privileged. You would think about the
Yeah,
other women who don't have her privilege.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
So, is there anything you would like to perform for all our viewers? There's a lot of demand in the comment section. Are you prepared? It's okay if you don't want to.
I don't have anything prepared. No, I don't have anything prepared. I'm sorry.
That's all right. So we will then we will catch up with you on the 11th then.
Great.
Because yeah, that's it. That's all we have for here today. And for all our viewers, we have the registration link to the collective action event in our bio. And we would love to hear what you if you're excited about it and what you're excited about. And just so that we can bring this to an end, I would also like to tell everybody who's watching about our fundraiser campaign, Give India. Every donation will go towards making each home a safe space. So do donate, because we work against child sexual abuse in India. And with that, I'll just see you all on the 11th. Thank you so much for joining us, Rabia.
Thank you. It's lovely talking to you.